Today on the Topping Show, the comment section without Brett Cooper crashes in both views and revenue. Texas plans to have a 402-acre Islamic City. Elie Mystal says that we should get rid of all laws passed before 1965. Susan Crowford wins the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. The last Volkswagen GTI with the stick shift is sold. Rivian sales crashed by double digits. And a kid's jewelry kit is being recalled for health reasons. All of that and much more on the Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of the Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. And it does come with a fun Picatinny rail adapter so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shoot a flamethrower. Lastly, trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the last Volkswagen GTI with the stick shift being sold. A sad day in history, and perhaps someday European citizens will grow a pair, vote differently, and stop letting the European Union kneecap the economy of Germany and stop them from making these awesome marvels of engineering. Which, yeah, I want to say the odds are zero, but the odds are probably not great that will actually happen. I say that because, again, time and time again, these automotive companies directly note emissions and regulations by European Union as to why they're killing off so many iconic vehicles. Now, unfortunately, it also means they're not going to ship them here either. They're just killing them all together. Now, this comes with thanks to Motor1.com, specifically Brian, who's right over there. And they say, quote, sad, the last manual GTI, the last stick shift Volkswagen GTI in the world was allocated to the dealership in Montana where it sold without much fanfare, which, again, the dumbest thing you can do, not financial advice, but I think the dumbest thing you can do is buy a car as an investment. It never is. Was it last week? Someone went viral because they sold a sub 900-mile GMC SUV for $250,000 because he bought it new, never drove it. Guy was an idiot. You know why? Because instead of having that car in the garage for 32 years, if he put it in an index fund, he would have made $750,000 instead of $250,000. So he lost out on $500,000 of value by putting into a car versus the stock market. Now, again, not financial advice. I say that because when I think of this situation, I'm actually surprised no one bought it as an investment or as a collectible item, being the very last one. It almost randomly just seemed to go to Montana. Not that there's anything wrong with Montana, but I don't think about that. Well, I guess they have a lot of LLCs in terms of, registering your car there, but I don't think of them as like an automotive epicenter. And it looks like, again, it looks like a cool hot hatch. I don't think they invented it, but lots of people would say they perfected it or darn near with the cool hot hatches Volkswagen has made throughout the years. Now, he says, quote, the last manual Volkswagen GTI has been sold, and a company spokesperson confirmed to Motor One. The lucky buyer, Jamie Orr, documented the whole buying experience on TikTok, giving an up-close look at the car. Instead of doing a big tribute to say goodbye to the very last manual-equipped GTI, Volkswagen decided to let the stick shift die quietly. Which, again, they should have done something special for that. Even an extra little placard of metal or plastic on the car. But I can't think the Volkswagen company, they just not being run well these days. Well, obviously, that's why the Volkswagen brand is dying. Not the Volkswagen Group, which has cool things like Bugatti, Ducati, Porsche, and Audi, but the VW brand specifically. The CFO last year said, oh yeah, we don't think we have more than 2 years of viability before we're dead as a business, which not great. Then you want to stop making the fun cars you do sell. Not smart, but that's just me. Now, they note that it wasn't a special order deal either. It just showed up on the truck to be added to the dealer's inventory. Let's see here. See what he has to say.
This Volkswagen GTI is no different than the one made 2 days before it, a week before it, of the tens of thousands. This Volkswagen GTI is no different than the one made 2 days before.
Oh, really? I don't have the TikTok malware on my computer, so it wants me to select two objects that are the same. Actually, no, I won't do that. See if I just play it.
This Volkswagen GTI is no different than the one made 2 days before it, a week before it of the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands made since 1976 in Wolfsburg, but it is different than every other one produced after it, because this is the last 6-speed manual gearbox GTI produced in the world. And how did it end up in Missoula Volkswagen in Missoula, Montana, 2,300 miles away from my home in Paulstown, Pennsylvania? Well, that's through factory allocation. This was not a special car. This just was one of many. But when I asked about 4 months ago, hey, where's the last manual GTI going? Well, nothing really happened. And I asked about a month ago and said, really, where's the last, when's it happening? It must have happened, must have been built. And we traced it down to here. It was allocated as a normal GTI allocation to Missoula Volkswagen, which is where I've come to get it.
Which, again, seemed random as all hell. I just can't believe. Now, again, I'm not sure how much more over sticker it would go potentially, but I wonder if this guy's going to put it on Bring a Trailer or Cars and Bids or one of those car bid websites just because, or Barrett Jack. Yeah, shoot, even Barrett Jackson. There's something iconic about the very last of something being made. Now, again, I hope Europeans actually grow a pair and push against their oppressive government and allow cool things to be built again. Again, I'm skeptical, but I hope this isn't really the last of the GTIs with a stick shift. I really do. And again, to this guy's credit, he drove, geez Louise, tracked down the car, drove 2,300 miles from his own hometown in Pennsylvania to pick it up. Now, looks like a little disappointing. It says instead of driving it back home, he used a Volkswagen Atlas so he can tow it back, which, at least he didn't use the shipping. Lord knows there's a lot of horror stories when it comes to shipping companies, but yeah, I wouldn't trust them to. If you buy a car, I would drive it back, but that's just me. Obviously, you need a friend to drive you there to get there or fly there, but nevertheless, sad to see such an iconic vehicle coming to an end. And again, I hope this isn't really the end. And again, I know hot hatches aren't as hot as they used to be, and I'm one of the rare folks who actually does want a stick shift. I've only ever bought them. I only ever will own a stick shift or a car with 3 pedals. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, other interesting business news, you have Rivian sales crashing by double digits, with somehow Lucids going up, which, anecdotally speaking, I've seen 2 Lucids in 6 months in Texas, which is infinitely more than a couple years ago. So they are growing. Not a lot, but they are statistically growing in a positive direction. Not fiscally, but, by number of units. This comes with thanks to Reuters, specifically Zahir, who's a writer over there. He says, quote, Lucid's quarterly deliveries rise, Rivian's fall sharply. Here you can see one of those funny looking Rivian trucks, which, or is it the SUV? I can't tell from this perspective. At least it does have unique headlights. I'll give him some credit for that. And again, if you never actually need to use the truck for what's intended, it's a great vehicle. And also you don't want it to last more than, 7 to 8 years. It's a great vehicle. But that's just me. Now, he says, quote, Lucid Group posted a 58% jump in first quarter deliveries, helped by strong demands for the luxury. Who the hell is buying those things? I can't believe it. 58% jump. That is pretty impressive, but looks like Rivian. Oh, this is a painful looking chart. Not financial advice. It's always 2020. Hindsight's always 2020 when it comes to investing. I'm glad I never bought their stock. Ouch. So what was that? Q4 they delivered 14,183, and Q1 it's down to 8,640 deliveries. Ouch. That's not great. Now, they note that Rivian reported a 36% drop, ouch, in first quarter deliveries earlier this week, as EV maker grapples with weak demand, sending its shares down nearly 6%, ouch, which, yeah, not financial advice, dude. Again, glad I didn't buy that stock. The company has been battling through tough demand as consumers opt for cheaper hybrids and gas-powered vehicles that will last more than, 5 years because your cars are crap. Well, I did that last part, but yeah, let's just say I'm a fan of having a car that lasts a quarter of a century and can be fixed by Bob the mechanic, aka independent mechanic, as opposed to only the manufacturer. Now, you also have Andrews Shepard, a securities equity analyst at Cantor Fitzgerald, saying, quote, I would say that the sector at the moment is out of favor. Over the medium to long term, EVs are still inevitable. Yeah. And so it's just going to take a long time for these companies to continue to ramp up, unquote. Rivian CFO Claire McDowell said that vehicle deliveries would be lower this year due to soft demand, particularly because of the impact of fires in Los Angeles. They say that demand would further be pressured as U.S. President Donald Trump tariff policies are expected to accelerate inflation and increase prices of automobiles, making customers wary of committing to big purchases. I thought your vehicles were made in America. If anything, that should help Rivian, right? One would think. All of a sudden, the cars being imported are 15 to 20 to 30%. Whatever. I mean, Trump seems to change that percentage on a daily basis, but nevertheless, 25%, who knows? But yeah, if all of a sudden the cars that are being imported are so much more expensive, shouldn't your American made have a competitive advantage? I would argue, yeah, that actually might help you. Now, Rivian CEO CJ Scarge said earlier this year that the company expects higher costs from tariffs from Mexico and Canada as the supply chain footprint in these countries. The company delivered 8,640 in the quarter ended March 31st, down from 13,588 a year earlier. But deliveries exceeded analyst expectations of 8,200, according to Visible Alpha. They produced 14,611 vehicles in the first quarter. Wow. Last year? Yeah, that's quite a big drop. So we'll see what the future has for Rivian. But yeah, let's say the Magic 8 Ball would say, yeah, outlook is not good or quite concerning. And again, there's also more competition. Even with Tesla, their name being dragged through the mud and all the controversy. I mean, shoot, they're still the number one manufacturer by sales or by units sold. We'll see how much more. I mean, if anything, I thought Rivian would be doing great right now, but not so much. Let me know what you think the future is for Rivian, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Prod podcast, you have the comment section crashing in both views, subscribers, and revenue. Now estimated to earn $4,000 per month, which for a company with 250 employees, although rumors of layoffs, that's nothing. That's negative. That's terrible. As an individual, $4,000 a month, that would be great. That's life-changing for most folks, including myself. But again, as one of only a handful of personalities at the Daily Wire, and when they were making $500,000, like literally, like what is it, 10x more per month? That's not great to say the least. And of course, looks like things are only getting worse for Reagan, also known as Timu Brett Cooper. Now this comes with thanks to socialblade.com. And here you can see the subscriber count is continuing to dwindle. Although the rate is getting better, she's lost only 40,000 subscribers in the past 30 days, averaging, so her daily average is now losing 1.3 thousand subscribers per day, which, again, that sounds terrible. However, she was losing 10 to 20 to 30,000 subscribers per day when the controversy first came out of her becoming the new host of the show and taking over for Brett Cooper. Weekly average, though, of lost subscribers is still negative 10,000. Again, past 30 days, she's lost 40. Past 14 days, she's lost 20,000. So it's not great, to say the least. Now, the views, past 30 days, she's, wow, the weekly average of views is down to 2.5 million. Now you have the monthly estimated earnings between $239 and $3.8 thousand, or close to $4,000. I felt generous. I've chose to round up, which again is not sustainable as a business. She also is sub 1 million views per 30 days, which again for the channel's historical, that's awful to say the least. You can see the views here, and all of a sudden, what's this? Oh yeah, right when Reagan took over, and crash like a Boeing airplane, which is, yeah, quite concerning to say the least. Same thing with the gaining of new subscribers. It's been negative ever since Reagan took over. It's technically moving in the right direction. There was a time where statistically, just because, small sample size of a couple months versus years, there was a time the trajectory was so bad when she took over. They estimated that she would have 0 subscribers by 2030? But again, that's extrapolating the data long term. We have more real data now. And here you could see, in March, she only loses about 10,000. So it's still losing, but it's not as bad as, what was the record? December 31st, or sorry, 23rd, dyslexia. But nevertheless, December 23rd, 2024, she lost 180,000 subscribers in a week, which that is epic and legendary, but not in a good way. And I don't see how this is even possibly viable from a business perspective. Because again, the Daily Wire, the CEO, long gone, Jeremy Boring. Then you had the president, also gone. You have the, VP of, not HR, not marketing, PR, also left. rumors that there's going to be layoffs. They're shutting down the kids show. And at their peak, I believe they had about 250 employees full time. And when you have 6 personalities and the other ones are barely growing, again, they're technically growing, but it's just not sustainable. I think this is why you've never seen a single Reagan commercial for the comment section. Like, not even one. Not even a YouTube, nothing. I've never seen a single commercial for the comment section since Reagan took over. And yeah, in terms of subscribers, was she down to 3.87 million subscribers, which again, it used to be, was it 4.5, 4.6? It used to be so much more when Brett Cooper was still there. Now, they say that the yearly estimated earnings is still between 167, oh, that's a big variable. Estimated yearly earnings is between $167,000 and $2.7 million, which, again, $167,000 is, to me, nearly unfathomable amount of money. That's a lot of dough. That's a lot of cash as an individual. As a business with, again, 250 employees, that doesn't even cover, most likely that does not even cover her salary. And again, just on her show alone, she has producers, makeup artists, editors, publishers, social media analysts, social media posters, in theory. There's a whole team behind her. There's a whole infrastructure. Again, they make a lot of their money from DW Plus, a specific subscription on their own platform. But Ben Shapiro has said publicly many times, and I suspect it would be true in this announcement, that the biggest percentage of the revenue does still come from YouTube ads, which is why it's so important to look at this yearly estimated earnings. Even 2.7 across a major business like that, that's, again, 2.7, that is a lot. I mean, let me pull up the good old calculator here. Let's see here. One of the most underrated apps on the computer these days. Well, let's say 2.7 million, which is the best case scenario based on socialblade.com for her channel to make. Again, just on YouTube ads, divided by 250 users. That's $10,800 per employee. Again, that's in theory for you to divide it up. Which, again, they have more than one revenue stream. I understand that, but that still isn't sustainable as a business. Most people can't afford to live on $10,800 per year, even if you live in Detroit, where you can get a house for $1 or a penny. And again, most of them are headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, as well as, not Miami. They have many offices throughout the U.S., globally headquartered in Tennessee, but they also have offices and facilities in other states like Florida. So they have multi-locations, and Lord knows those facilities are not cheap. It just crashed so bad. And I don't see how, I mean, shoot, I don't know how this is viable to ever come back. It's just, yeah, well, so we'll see what happens with the comment section. But if I were to guess, they're either going to, I mean, they're already not putting any money into it. Let's see if we can pull it up really quick. The comment section. She's getting 20,000 views per video, 30,000 views per video, which again, as an individual, that for me, that'd be a personal record. That'd be great. But again, as part of a business, that's terrible. Now, again, I'm just kind of curious. This one says Netflix gender swapping Narnia's main character. This should do great. I mean, everyone's critiquing Hollywood for race swapping, gender swapping, doing everything, but allowing white folks on the screen these days. I mean, this video should go great.
And C.S. Lewis's Narnia is such great source material that you can't really mess it up, right? Well, wrong, apparently, because Meryl Streep is in talks to play Aslan. Yes, what? They are casting the iconic lion, Aslan, as a girl. You know, the lion with the huge...
She looks just, all her mannerisms, all her voice alterations, all her hand gestures, just so reminiscent of Brett Cooper. And she only got 1.4 thousand likes on this video and only 20,000 views, which again, for average Joe Schmo, for me, that's life-changing. For her, that's not even a tenth of what Brett Cooper was getting for likes and views. I mean, I can't but wonder how many of these comments are supportive of her. Let's see. Maybe the comments are getting more generous towards her. A lot of people saying just leave the classic intellectual property alone. People saying, is this an April Fool's joke? So maybe, I mean, the comments at least seem to be getting more positive. Though again, a lot of people are suspecting a rumor that, you know, they also delete comments that critique her. At least the comments seem to be getting better and are actually addressing the substance of the video, less so the controversy of, you know, Reagan taking over Brett Cooper. But still, it's not viable. 20,000 views is nothing for these things. So we'll see what happens. I really think they would be a more successful. I think Reagan would be a lot more successful if they had a new He had a new channel on the YouTube for her, like a whole new show, and just let her be herself. But I don't think that we'll do that anytime soon. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news: Texas has plans to have a 402-acre area for an Islamic City, and it'll be called Epic, apparently, or next to Epic, which I don't know. The video game company might sue them for, copyright infringement. I'm only partially kidding. This comes with thanks to End Wokeness, and this is right after we heard about, there's an official day in Texas called Pakistan Day, which I actually did some digging. Fascinatingly enough, we are one of their top trading partners. They buy from us, and we buy from them. It's kind of funny in terms of cliche. We do buy kitchen towels from them and textiles, Nike, but they usually buy from us a lot of raw materials like cotton and all that kind of stuff. So there's some business relationship there. I'm not sure about shared values, but now there is an official day in Texas for Pakistan. Fascinatingly enough, I don't think Pakistan is an official day for us, but it's only about a minute long. It's almost like an infomercial for what they're planning to do. And geez Louise, I need to buy a house before one of these days. Shoot. Before we know it, everything will be just all these houses in Texas, all the land gone, just housing left to right.
402 acres of beautiful scenery.
Jesus, that's huge.
Welcome to the future of living. Welcome to Epic City. Nestled in the heart of Josephine, Texas. It is about 20 miles and 20 minutes from Epic.
Allahu Akbar, Allah.
Music spot on.
Welcome
The heck kind of road is that? That turnaround? It's like a half turnaround? I've never seen that before. That's bizarre.
to Epic.
This also reminds me of like The Sims on the PlayStation 2. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but a little interesting like presentation.
2.0.
This guy, this apparently isn't trolling us. It's called an epic mosque, which, calling your city epic, that's actually not a terrible marketing idea. It is epic.
Epic City is more than just a neighborhood. It's a way of life. A meticulously designed community that brings Islam to the forefront. A community that blends with nature, crafted to elevate your living experience. With single-family homes, multi-family townhomes and apartments, senior living, and in the heart a mosque and a school.
God, that looks like hell. I hate living in a suburb personally. I yearn to have the freedom of land, but it's one of those classic, suburbs. It's the same. Well, I'm definitely a little biased in terms of coming from an architectural family where we have architects. It's one of those things where just seeing the same house copy and pasted a million times is so abhorrently disgusting and boring. And most suburbs in the whole U.S. does this. This isn't unique to this concept, but yeah, I don't know what they're going to do though, because it looks like they only have one major parking lot for that mosque. How many spots is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 times 4. Math trick. 36. So they got 36 in that lot, and 36 in the other one. That'd be 72 total, something like that. I'm no mosque aficionado or expert, but I've been to my church, and I don't think that's enough parking spots. Granted, this is an animation concept. That's not. I'm the only person to probably bring up that probably the only one who ever bring up that little nuanced commentary, that little point. But to me, that was really strange. Like, wait a minute, maybe they'll have underground. There's not a lot of underground parking in Texas. But yeah, that's definitely not enough parking spots. Now, a lot of people are debating, like, is this really Texas to have this? Well, Texas is a big melting pot. One of the things, legally speaking, I'm not sure they're going to do this because you're not allowed to discriminate against folks. Like, if someone who's Jewish or Catholic wanted to move in there, they couldn't technically say no, I don't think. I think that'd be a lawsuit. So it's a very unusual concept in that regard. Also, putting to shame the Vatican. They never tried anything like this before either. With all the billions and trillions of dollars of wealth, I'm surprised the Vatican isn't copy-pasting major cities to try to increase their subscriber count, their donation count. They're not very good at marketing. I'm Catholic, and faith thing. But it's one of those things where, yeah, I'm surprised. Man, their marketing, their attendance rate is just dwindling. They need someone new in marketing. Man, this went pretty viral. I got 5.5 million views and 36,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, "This has to be shut down," getting 4.8 thousand likes, which, again, it might be shut down only because they're saying that they can't. Like, legally speaking, just because you can't discriminate against religion, I think that might be why. So it might be an instance where they build this and technically anyone of any faith could go there. I also debate, like, what are the odds if you're Catholic or Jewish or another faith or Buddhist, would you want to go there? That's not, I mean, shoot. I mean, with housing prices these days, for the right price, shoot, we might all live there. But, like, I wonder how that would work out. Like, legally speaking, how? I don't know if you could prevent this except for that one nuanced point where you're not allowed to discriminate on that regard. Now, you also have Gunther Eagleman saying we can't let this happen, getting 5,000 likes. You also have Jay saying, revoke this. Governor Greg Abbott, a self-governed Islamic City is in the heart of Texas, the heart of America. Yeah, no thanks. Getting 561 likes. Thick Egg Shell says the same 402 acres in 10 years, which looks like, is that they're England? Or it's, can't tell what country it's in, but a bunch of Middle Eastern folks with AK-47s, which is ridiculous. This is America. Use the AR-15. I don't know if it's going to be an AK-47. As much as I respect Russian history, that being said, I believe in diversity. Why not have both? Now, that did get 21 likes. It's also kind of funny because, I mean, shoot, most Texans are pretty big into the guns, so they kind of fit right in. Paul Zupa says, how is this legal? Getting 440 likes. Someone responded to him. I wonder. Eva says, it's not, and Governor Greg Abbott has already begun investigations through multiple different agencies. They have not been following the Texas laws, getting 25 likes. Because, again, I don't think you can build it to discriminate. Legally speaking, I think that is probably how they will stop this in terms of, like, legality of you can't discriminate against other religions. Now, you also have, but again, building the mosque, legally speaking, you're not going to be able to stop that. I think it really is just your idea of having the neighborhood only for them. If they want to build it, I don't think, we'll see if they can legally stop them. I think, again, not to reiterate the same point so much, but I think it will be an instance of saying, well, technically you do have to allow everyone there. Now, Mr. Pitbull, I don't think that's actual singer Pitbull. I don't know what he's been up to for the past couple of years. It is a picture of an actual Pitbull dog. And he says, quote, oh, geez. I try to keep this moderately family friendly, so I wouldn't change the vernacular. So you get the idea, but it's not as bombastic, so the kids can still kind of listen. So I'm going to say, this is what he says, quote, Sharia law is rooted in abusing children, total oppression of women, honor killings, forced compliance. Sharia law has no place in Western civilization, getting 6.9 thousand likes. He also has guess religion, and it says normal world, it's a father and daughter, and it says Islamic world, husband and wife, and it's basically the guy has, I forgot what they call it. Not a cloak. Maybe some type of cloak, and the daughter looks the same, or the young girl there. And they got 1.2 thousand likes. Now, you also have, well, one of the most liked comments of all coming from Archer, not the funny guy from the TV series, the cartoon. But I'll say this alleged Archer says, quote, assimilate fully into America, or GTFO. And this is a quote. It says, Theodore Roosevelt's ideas on immigrants bringing in America in 1907. In the first place, we should insist that if an immigrant wants to come here in good faith, become an American, and assimilate himself to us, he shall be treated on the exact equality with everyone else. For it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed, birthplace, or religion, or origin. But this is, it says, or origin, not religion. I messed that up there. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American, and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't an American at all. We don't have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and his loyalty to the American people, unquote. Which, yeah, it's sad how definitely isn't like that in the United States these days, where most people have dozens of flags, most of those flags not representing freedom, which I'll never understand people who come from, like, the worst rudimentary countries on the planet and come here to the best country, and they still rock their flag. I would argue most of them are, I don't know if they're uneducated or just ignorant, but if you love your country so much, why did you leave there? I forgot. There's a reason no one in my family has a Cuban flag on their front lawn. It's an oppressive, crappy country, and people are trapped there. Though, in the past, they did make good cigars. But yeah, there's a reason all the people who escape the worst, traditionally, they would assimilate. Fascinating within the past decade or so, we really haven't seen as much assimilation. If anything, we see the antithesis, people resisting it and actively praising and representing other countries, many with that antithesis of beliefs, the United States. And yet they still came here. Now that got 2.1 thousand likes. Also, click that subscribe button. It might help with my speaking impediment or stuttering. When I first started the show, barely anyone subscribed, and I spoke faster than Ben Shapiro and more awkwardly than Joe Biden trying to climb upstairs. It was pretty bad. However, as I slowly but surely gain more subscribers, there's been a slight statistical improvement. Some might argue just a modicum improvement, barely anything at all. However, I would say still statistically an improvement. So if you can click that button, I think it'll make the show a little bit better. And someday I'll make it through an entire episode speaking perfectly. So again, if you can click that button, tell your friends, I'd really appreciate it. You also have Akush Sharma saying, quote, Muslims in Texas have been planting a Sharia law town called Epic City next to the giant mosque. It apparently has already voted many laws. Governor Greg Abbott just said, quote, the proposed community will never see the light of day. Thank goodness, gained 3.3 thousand likes. Again, we'll see what legal precedent Greg Abbott notes. Again, I understand he's making statements right now, but again, I want to know. Again, one thing I really like about Vivek in terms of his politicking, he would say stuff, he'd also back it up, specifics on how you would get things done. David Santa Clara says, quote, no one moving here wants to be an American anymore. They want to change the America into the shitty country they just led here in the rearview mirror. Gained 7.1 thousand likes. I'll agree with that, although I was not the additional one needed to get to 7.2 thousand likes. You also have Stephen Legacy saying, coming to America in a neighborhood near you. Unless we stop it now, Islam and Sharia law must be banned nationwide. There's a picture of England, and they become weak and pathetic and conquered. That's a fact check true. And it says the fall of England. They have again, not all Muslims are ISIS, obviously, but in this picture they have the ISIS flag, which is as rudimentary and pathetically designed as their ideology and they themselves. Looks like a kid with a crayon did it. And they got 1.3 thousand likes. So, again, we'll see legally what specifically they will do to actually stop this. There are a lot of comments like Captain Dreamer says, can't let this happen, getting 2.8 thousand likes. And unfortunately, the sample size in X has shifted, so it's more, I would say, libertarian and right-leaning. A lot of people on the left have quit the platform, unfortunately, so it's becoming a little bit of an echo chamber. Maybe I'll sign up for, what was it, stupid thing they started? Although, was it Twitter Blue? No, that's what Elon sells, or used to sell. It's called X Blue or something like that. It's Blue Sky, Blue Crap. 10 people are out there, I think, but maybe I'll sign up for that to try to get some different balances of opinions. But again, right here, it seems unanimous in this specific sample size that no one wants it. But let me know, do you think this would be a good thing for Texas? Do you think it takes away from the history of the United States and the history of Texas? And what are your thoughts? Do people really stop assimilating? I mean, my family did way back in the day when my mom's family came here from Cuba. I mean, they went out of their great lengths to get the United States flag and learn the English vernacular and the English language. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, I have Elie Mystal saying that they need to get rid of every law before 1965. Which, I'm actually not surprised the more I hear about this guy. To his credit, he did suit up. He's done one smart thing in his life. The bar is quite low, yes, but he did suit up. Now, this comes to us thanks to end wokeness. Now, I note wokeness says, quote, Elie Mystal says we need to get rid of every law before 1965. Maybe he'll give us very articulate reason. No, of course not. I was about to say maybe he gives us some very articulate idea, strong ideas or reasons as to why. But of course, obviously not. I mean, the best policies and laws ever, I would say the best document in mankind ever in terms of politics would be the United States Constitution and Bill of Rights. Now, let's hear something about 25 seconds long. And someone who's mentally vacuous, or I don't want to say there's a 100% chance that you're going to hear crap on The View, but the odds of hearing something of great substance are very, very low on The View. And of course, this guy is on The View, which I don't say says everything. Because again, some people do go into the pig pen, the pig pen and go into The View, which I was going to say, talking about an insufferable experience. But some people I do respect actually venture in there. But without too much, I get at this point, I'm just stalling because it's so insufferable, but I'll dive on in, so to say.
One of my premises for the book is that every law passed before the 1965 Voting Rights Act should be presumptively unconstitutional, right? But because before the 1965 Voting Rights Act, we were functionally an apartheid country. Yeah. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why?
Is he not? He's so dumb, he just called us an apartheid country. Has he ever been to the continent of Africa and actually seen apartheid? Where people actually die in mass? I forgot he's on The View. He's just, to his credit, he's just as intellectually brilliant as the other women on The View. Haha, that's a joke because they're mentally vacuous, to say the least. So I'm sorry, I'll rewind that for a second here.
We're functionally an apartheid country. Not everybody who lived here could vote here. So why should I give about some law that some old white man passed in the 1920s, like the Immigration and Nationality Act, when they passed our fundamental...
So he shouldn't care about laws passed because the old white guys did it. I mean, the ones that got rid of slavery, the one that said you had the right to free speech, the right to defend yourself and your property, the right to the Second Amendment, the right to not self-incriminate? Yeah. Spoiler alert, the guys who wrote the Constitution, yeah, they were mostly old white guys. Now, this got 2.5 million views and 9.7 thousand likes. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, Democrats are racist trash, getting 2.5 thousand likes. Paul Zazupa says, quote, so the law isn't good because a white man wrote it. This seems racist, getting 2.1 thousand likes, which it is, but it's the racism that they like on The View, so it's okay for them. Steve 1962 says, quote, why are you trying to erase these gentlemen? And it says, history has never taught the first 23 black congressmen were all Republicans, getting 617 likes. Was it BST 16? Interesting username, says, quote, to clarify, Elie wants to eliminate the first 24 amendments of the Constitution, including the 13th, which abolishes slavery. Wild, getting 730 likes. Yeah. I also have anti-left memes, says, don't make me tap the sign. And it's a sticker and says, they don't hate racism, they hate white people. Getting 936 likes, which, yeah, mostly. David Santa Clara says, quote, it's simple. They hate white people. You can choose to hate them back or love or lose America. There's no third option. Getting 3.2 thousand likes, which I don't think that's very constructive in terms of winning over hearts and minds and debates and arguments and philosophical, brainstorming together. Usually you want to treat your enemies in kindness. You want to, win their hearts and minds. You want to find common ground and expand on that. And then, show them why your opinion and why, more frankly, your way to solve a problem is more efficient and superior. So, I mean, I don't think you should, hate these folks. Obviously, the gentleman speaking in this video is woefully ignorant. I don't know. I'd like to think no one's beyond saving or beyond, educating. I mean, there's a lot of NPRs or NPCs out there. But I mean, shoot, I would just love maybe have the opportunity to sit down with this guy, just show him literally the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and be like, I'm pretty sure that I can't. Wouldn't you agree these are good things? Wasn't it a good thing to enshrine that all men are created equal? We can defend ourselves with the Second Amendment. Don't you think we should all have these rights? By the way, you know who wrote that? White guys over 100 years ago. Well, but I don't know. Now, Harrison Crank says, quote, wasn't the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863? Yep, came 1.2 thousand likes. Spitfire says this dude needs to be institutionalized, getting 665 likes. I mean, when I think of punishments or ways to, I was going to say, he's already suffering. He's on The View. I can't think of a more insufferable experience than being on The View as a man or as a human. Robert Miranda says, I thought he was arrested for ramming his ATV into the Tesla truck, getting 237 likes, which a very large African-American gentleman or dude did get arrested for that. Let's see. Anti-woke memes says, why are the woke so much evil? It's a meme. It says straight people exist, and it says leftists. It's the evil guys from Lord of the Rings. He's got long purple hair and a bunch of piercings. And 218 likes. Tara has a picture of Trump pointing up, and it says, well, doing Trump's voice, or at least try to. Shit like this is why I won. Getting 594 likes. Cash Loren says the Democrats are racist POSs, just like they are telling you. Getting 72 likes. You also have, let's see, I'm trying to try to get this name right. Woon Hong Lu saying, quote, it's a Malcolm X quote, actually. It says, quote, the Democrats are playing you for a political Trump, and if you vote for them, not only are you a Trump, but you are a traitor to your race. Getting 270 likes. And Jager says this is why Democrats' party approval ratings are in the tank. Getting 840 likes. Yeah, it's actually one of the worst ever. I don't see any contrarian statements here. We also have Howie saying, it says the Civil Rights Act of 1934. The Civil Rights Act of 1934 is a landmark civil rights and labor law in the United States that outlaws discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Getting 92 likes, which is, I was going to say a fair amount of likes to say the least, so to say. There's a load here. So, yeah. Again, this guy seems to be gaining more and more popularity on social media. So, we'll see what the future is. Maybe he gets enlightened, but let me know your thoughts, because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Susan Crowford winning the Wisconsin Supreme Court race by double digits. It was quite a few, to say the least. She actually won at 55.7% compared to 44.3%, which, yeah, I think politically speaking, it's safe to say that's a blowout. Now, a lot of people are critiquing and saying, oh my gosh, Elon Musk spent so much money, we're going to critique him. But no one's really bringing up the fact of how much George Soros, Pritzker, and Reid Hoffman, and all of them spent. But that's what we're going to cover right now. Now, this comes with thanks to Amuse, in which he says specifically, quote, Wisconsin billionaires, including Soros, elected Susan Crowford to the Supreme Court. She outspent Schmidt, the opponent, Schittel, even after Elon Musk stepped in to try to level the playing field. And it says you've got George Soros, Pritzker, and Reid Hoffman, all these billionaires who spent far more than Musk did. There's a clip from the CNN, about 42 seconds long.
That was compelling.
I think it's an interesting tactic. It's a little Saul Alinsky-esque in the sense that you've got George Soros and J.D. Pritzker and Reid Hoffman and all these billionaires who've spent far more than Musk did in this, and now pointing and saying, well, wait a minute.
I don't think they spent on this. They didn't.
Well, collectively, if you look at all the money from outside that was given to her, again, 77% of it came from out of state, only 15% came from Schimmel, and collectively.
That is pretty crazy to think. 77% out of state. What was that statistic? Did I hear that right?
Only 15% came from Schimmel, and collectively.
Oh, right. Oh, there we go.
Money from outside that was given to her, again, 77% of it came from out of state, only 15% came from Schimmel, and collectively, a number of the analysis showed.
I'm just saying, like in terms of the money from
individually,
J.B.
those did, but if you look at the whole outside money that came from out of the state, it's clearly.
But you don't think it was a referendum on Musk at all, though?
Oh, I think it had a part of it. I think there are a lot of different issues. I think.
Wow, it is kind of creepy. Again, Musk did this and George Soros. They're all doing it in terms of outside state influencing a single state. But yeah, 77%. Geez Louise. This should have gone more viral. I thought it would. It got about 36,000 views and 994 likes. Now, you also have Amuse saying, quote, Wisconsin Democrats like Soros because he funnels billions to them, but remains in the shadows and doesn't steal the spotlight. This is another 30-second clip. This is that Michael Knowles or Rachel Maddow. Or funny, it looks just like him, I swear.
And then go on about saving humanity. It's just an ego trip.
Well, what's interesting about it is you heard anytime anybody brings this up, a Republican will say, well, what about J.B. Pritzker and what about George Soros and what about this, what about that? And I guess the answer is you don't see George. First of all,
George Soros in
you don't see them out there talking.
Yeah. No.
Right? I mean, they might be giving money to organizations, this and that, and people can criticize that
They
if
all
they want.
do.
But the idea that, like, oh no, I am going to tell these voters, forget like hiring Scott Walker to do it or somebody on the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm going to tell them.
Right. No, he has to suck up all the oxygen. There's only one other person that needs more attention, is Donald Trump. And then go on about saving humanity.
Okay, because they're in the shadows, which, I mean, politically speaking, yeah. I mean, that is probably, I mean, shoot, it's worked for George Soros for decades in terms of getting his political ideals out there and destroying most cities in the United States. But yeah, I think that's a big pro and con to Elon Musk, is he's very much out there in terms of the cultural lexicon and people seeing his actions, which, again, I think does help him. But shoot, in terms of the Tesla sales, also kind of hurts as well. Now, again, this that got 136 likes. I love American News. It says truth. This picture of George Soros saying, quote, fraud, market manipulation, money laundering, election interference, criminal conspiracy, sedition gained 13 likes. Kentucky, the entire state of Kentucky is tweeting. No, not really. It's hashtag Kentucky KOT saying, quote, Soros and friends didn't just tip the scales. They bought the whole courthouse. Musk tried to level the playing field, but when billionaires bankroll judicial seats like it's fantasy football, democracy's dead on arrival. Wisconsin didn't elect a George. They auctioned one, getting 16 likes, which actually brings this thing to a good point. I'll make it 17 likes. Yes, Julie McBain saying, quote, hard to believe that they could be this dumb. Having said that, where was the RNC and why did Elon have to step in? Gain 4 likes. That's a good question. The RNC is one of the most, let's say, hard to say. What's more inept and useless, the United Auto Workers or the RNC? Both historically are pretty bad at putting crap together and getting stuff done. But yeah, that's a good question. It's not the first time the RNC has fallen flat on their face. I mean, shoot, their marketing and ability to raise funds is It's so rudimentary compared to Democrats. Democrats are so much more efficient at gaining more funds, also the USAID and stealing money. But they also get funds from some end users and individual contributors. And yeah, where's the RNC rallying all the support and getting every single Republican Wisconsinite out there to vote? Again, this is a big deal. We heard about it a couple days, maybe a week before the people are actually casting their ballot. I mean, shoot, it's April. And this, I mean, there's one or two articles maybe a couple months ago noting the significance of this. Why was RNC not spending a disproportionate amount of their time, energy, and resource allocation highlighting this and getting funds and getting people out to vote? Again, this is really throwing a stick in the wheel, so to say, for Trump and Republicans next couple of years. It is a very important thing, and yet we really only highlighted it very short to the election. Again, the RNC, I've not been a fan of their leaders for many years. And yeah, we'll see. I can't think maybe they need yet another leadership change. And again, they had time in their hands. I mean, shoot, there's the threat of the government shutdown. But I partially digress. I'll go back to the comments for a second or two here. I also say, is this not true? And there's a percentage that shows how many people donated. And it has Musk being one of the largest ones. I got 2 likes. That is, I hate when they have a meme, but they don't have the URL to click on it for the source. It says the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, but it doesn't give me an actual link to see it. They also have Nick Banana saying, quote, "Sick, the election was only about money and who can buy the most votes." Getting 0 likes, but it was a good point. So again, we're going to see the political, importance of this as Trump and the Republican Party try to get things done. And yeah, I think to me that was the most interesting comment. Where the hell was the RNC and why weren't they, shouting this to the moon? And because again, you can't rely on Elon Musk to step up every single time. Obviously, he's human. Allegedly, maybe he's an alien. But in all seriousness, I mean, you can't just rely on him to shovel money and show up to a couple of events every once in a while. I really need to have a coalition, which they clearly don't. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have LaRose Industries recalling their CraZArt, which F- is supposed to be kids' toys, and I have it spelled CRA-Z-Art Gemex and Gel 2 gem jewelry kits due to risk of skin, eye, and respiratory irritation and sensation, violation of the Federal Hazardous Substances Act, which, yeah, usually, I mean, shoot, we hear about these types of mistakes usually every couple of years. I think the dumbest thing was, what was it? Was the year 2000? There's a recall in which there's a funny little toy with dots inside of it, and you'd have a magnet, you move around, make designs. Someone figured out if you busted it open, the dots inside the toy were actually an illegal substance that would inebriate you, which I can't help but wonder if that was really just an illegal activity hidden as a kid's toy, or if that's actual just, whoops, the subcontractor used the wrong subcomponent. But I partially digress. It's a very, in terms of this toy, it's a very, got the really bright Gemex logo made out of rhinestones, apparently. It says magically change gel to jewelry in minutes. Also has Disney Minnie Mouse on it. Oh, I was going to say it's a Disney product. How could it be bad? I'm actually surprised it's not Rachel Zegler's face on here. That could perhaps be the one thing to make this product worse. It looks like there's a couple different designs. One's with the Disney princesses. One's for, not Snow White, the Snow Queen. What is that movie? Frozen, which interestingly enough is not a documentary about frozen foods, ice cream, or, dinner foods. It's about some girl who's frozen. I assume it's a Batman spinoff, or maybe Han Solo frozen in carbonite. I'm pretty sure that's right. Here you see the third design where it has little unicorns and other gel stuff. This one's called CraZArt My Look. My Look. Not very descriptive. It says add gel, glitter, and swirl. Magically change gel to jewelry in minutes. Or die. Well, not really, but it's not great. Now, going to the substance of the article, they say that, quote, the recalled jewelry making kits contain a resin that, when liquid, can cause skin, eye, and respiratory irritation or sensation when inhaled, touched, or ingested. Which, I don't want to say you're morons who made this, but you're certainly mentally vacuous to not realize a liquid with a kid is going to be touched. More likely going to, probably not inhaled, hopefully, but come on. Kids are obviously going to, even if a kid is not doing this maliciously, like just even if they accidentally spill, it's a liquid. It's going to be messy. And yet they find out, oh yeah, it's actually an irritant. Really, Disney, or was this Gemex? Ridiculous. Now they say that the resins contain an acrylite, which I was about to say 0%. I'll be more optimistic. There's a 1% chance I pronounced this right. So it's an acrylite known as hydroxylmethylcrylate, also known as HEMA, in amounts prohibited in children's products by the Federal Hazardous Substance Act. Already created jewelry should be inspected to confirm it's fully cured. If there is liquid or any liquid residue present, the jewelry should not be worn and be stored away from the children. Once cured, however, the resin no longer presents a hazard. Which, the issue, not a bad thing. This affected not just 1 unit or 2 units. Near 250,000 of these pieces of crap were made and sent and sold. So specifically, 224,000 of these units are being recalled, with the remedy being a refund. Which, geez Louise, they have all the product SKUs, which, again, I'm just going to describe them. It's the Shimmer and Sparkle, the Be Inspired, the Disney Mini, Disney Princess, Disney Frozen, My Look Gel, Shimmer and Sparkle, and then Disney Little Mermaid, which, yeah. Now, silver lining of the situation is, as of right now, there's no reports of injuries, thankfully. Now, these are also, in terms of resource allocation, where they were sold at Target, Marshalls. Who the hell is buying this at Marshalls? I guess some people. 5. I'd love to see the distribution chart of where the sales came from. I can't help but think probably not a lot of Marshalls. But nevertheless, they're sold at Marshalls, Target, TJ Maxx, and Joann stores and other stores nationwide, including Amazon.com, Target.com, Walmart.com, and Joann.com between January 2023 and September 2024 for between $13 and $36, depending on the kit. He also noted if you want to call a manufacturer, this recall number is 25-197, manufactured in China, as Trump would say. And again, it's good the guy had the situation. There's no reports of kids getting hurt, but again, how it is so ridiculous that you make something that's a liquid substance that inevitably is going to be spilled and kids are going to get their hands on it. I'm shocked. Again, it might be an instance of people not knowing about this recall, but I'm glad no one's been hurt thus far. But yeah, I gotta say, Disney, and again, it's your logo on here. People are going to see that and associate this with you, even though you're not technically manufacturing it. You're, licensing agreement, but still, gotta say, Disney and Gemex, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.